Hi YouTube, it is your girl Yo Bass here with another video. This video is primarily for those who are considering Alliance College Prep schools or have been accepted. They have been they have a job offer and are considering whether or not they should accept the job offer. So let me go ahead and give you first my personal connection to Alliance. 2, what is the difference between a charter school and a regular LAUSD school? 3, just a general gist of the network and what it consists of. And lastly, I'll give you pros and cons of the organization. So first off, I was accepted to Teach for America in 2017. I was placed in one of these schools in downtown LA, and I feel like I have a lot of credibility to speak on this subject since I lived the experience at Alliance for 2 years. 2, to give you some differences, the differences between charter and LAUSD. So if you are outside of the United States and you're just curious about this, here in the US we have a public education system and we also have private schools. So a lot of people think, oh, charter is private. This is actually a misconception. So charter means that they are receiving funds from the state, which are public, and they're also receiving funds through private donations. And LAUSD stands for Los Angeles Unified School District. They only receive funds from the state, no private donations. So the problem that tends to happen is that charter schools are sucking up all the funds from LAUSD. A lot of LAUSD teachers in that system criticize charter schools for that reason. Anyways, those are the main differences between these two types of schools, but do know that both are public and it's free to attend either school. So now to give you a gist of Alliance College Prep schools. So on the surface, this network looks excellent. It has some of the best schools in the nation, and they have really high test scores in the state. So on the surface, it's like, damn, like this school is like intense. So Alliance College Prep schools is led by Dan, who is a CEO at the organization and also is funded by a board of directors. And just the mere fact of saying that, board of directors and CEO, you can automatically think, okay, Alliance is sort of like a business, and it operates like a business in so many ways. The problem here is that when you start to operate as a business rather than a school, students are no longer students. Students are more like a client or a number, and everybody converts into a number rather than a human. And so it's very important for you to know this and keep that in mind while we talk more about this charter network. So a couple of pros and cons. I'm going to go right into the pros. Number 1, the pay is they have the highest paid teachers in LA County. I can tell you that for sure. Probably not like the state because I only know LA County, but the highest, and it's so easy to move up. And you can jump from like 50, for example, me, you should watch this video in case you're wondering. I jumped from 52 my first year all the way up to 70K. And if I would have stayed another year, it would have been jumped to 90 and so forth. I don't know what the cap is, but it pays really well for the profession. Number 2 is that students are receiving a high rigorous education. So if you want your student to be successful, by all means, put them into Alliance. But let me tell you something, they won't be happy. And I noticed this in my own Alliance school, is that these kids were drilled so many skills. Test scores were like priority, and they were very intelligent and very motivated to do well in school. But something that I realized, like if you were to measure their happiness in the whole state, Alliance schools would rate low, the lowest of the lowest. So that's something that it's a pro, right? That they're being tested and that they're receiving an education that is going to prepare them for the future. But at the same time, at what cost? So that just turned into a con, sorry, but there it is. Another pro is that for first year teachers, they actually had a 1-year program where you get support. And I think these happen on Saturdays, but you go to, I think they're like 4 times a year, and you go on a Saturday and it's a whole day conference, I think, or a Saturday or Friday. It was a long time ago, I'm so sorry. But basically they have a program that is supposed to support first year teachers. So if you're any other teacher, any other subject, if you teach any other subject besides Spanish, by all means, like it's a good program because it helps you collaborate with other teachers in the network and see how things are going through their lens. But for me, for Spanish, it was a little different, and I'll talk about that in the cons section. Actually, I think we're ready to go into the cons. Let's do it. So the first con, and you may have already thought about it as you're listening to me, is that there is a strong grind hustle culture. Like you gotta work until your feet no longer help you. You gotta work until you, like, sleep is not even an option. Like you just have to do this, you have to do that, you do that, like everything. And you basically, you enslave yourself. That's how I felt at Alliance. Yes, they pay well, but they're like the devil. Like it's not very sustainable to be in that position where you get paid well, but you literally have no life at all. And self-care is not even a thing. Like you cannot have self-care if you're in Alliance. Maybe things are getting better, I have no idea. But these are just things that I noticed while I was there. So the second con is that they care more about students passing than the well-being of teachers or students. Mental health is not something that was a part of Alliance or at the school that I was working at. The third con is micromanagement is a real thing. And I understand why they do it is because there's so much pressure from HQ, from headquarters, to like you have to do this, you have to do that. And if principals are pressured that, wow, I have to have all of these things in my school, I have to pressure my teachers, right? And so if the teachers, they gotta make sure, administration has to make sure that all the teachers are completing those tasks. And so the pressures kind of like trickle down, right? And even the teachers start to pressure children, and it's just trickled down, and I'm not sure if that is very healthy. And I consider this a con because there's just no more, there's not a time or place to reflect on the actions that are taking place among the school. And so that's definitely something that they should consider if you're watching Alliance, for you to change or transform in their classrooms. Next thing is that this is the last con, is that it's not community oriented. So what does this look like? And it's very hard to build community, to have a culture among students, among teachers, that they're all in this together. And it's very hard, especially one, you're in LA, and LA in general is not community oriented, as you may have already experienced. And two, when everybody is working so much, when you're reading and you're writing and that's all you're doing, and you're like literally being drilled certain skills all the freaking time without resting, without reflecting on what you're doing, it's very hard to build relationships with those around you. And it's very toxic to have Alliance just in existence. One, because Los Angeles in general is becoming more individualist, where they don't need help or they don't depend on other people. Even though that sounds empowering on the surface, it can also be damaging for children because they feel like I'm alone in this. And because there's just no time to reflect, to build relationships, and it sucks. It really does. That is pretty much it. These are just a couple of things that I've learned throughout my time in Alliance. I will never go back to Alliance, ever. Even if they paid me $500,000, I would not go back to Alliance. It is just insane the amount of work that they put me through. And I am now in a charter school. It's an autonomous charter school that cares for their community, cares for their students as much as they care about the teachers, and they don't see us as a number. And they don't call the principal. We don't have a CEO. We don't operate like a business. We operate as a school. So if you're looking at different schools and you're wondering where you should apply, definitely consider autonomous charter schools versus charter networks, because they will be run like a franchise. And you already know how the US is in terms of capitalism and all those things. Just save yourself. I hope you found this video helpful, especially if you're an incoming TFA teacher and you're wondering if you should do this. Definitely consider your options. If they place you in an Alliance school, ask if you can be placed somewhere else, or if there's a different school that is hiring. But if you already accepted your position, I wish you the best of luck. My biggest advice for you is to simply learn as you go, ask questions, challenge administration respectfully, right? And I just wish you the best of luck in your journey as teachers. Y nos vemos. See you later. Ciao.